So thank you very much, and let's go ahead and get started. So here's a brief outline of what we will be covering today. We will talk a little bit about just who Generation Z is and why there's a need for teaching geriatric sensitivity. We will give you some ideas for activities and things you can do in your classes to teach Generation Z all about geriatric sensitivity, and we'll even be sharing some wearable simulator ideas that we have, along with some tips for how to teach also a long and healthy life. So here's just a little bit about Reality Works if you're not familiar with us. We are a company and our products are developed with hands-on learning in mind, from our RealCare infant simulator to our health science product line. We also have a welding line and agricultural programs, but we help CTE teachers create these lasting educational and experiential learning. Things that students will experience and go through, and this makes the learning sticky and it will stay with them. So just who is the face of CTE? Well, the times certainly are changing. We have many non-traditional students, especially at the college level, but we refer to this as Generation Z. Now, whatever you knew about teaching millennials, well, you can forget that, because this generation is different in how they learn and how they view the world. Now, this Generation Z is very tech savvy. While millennials were seen with using things like 2 screens, Generation Z can go between 5 screens, things like phones, tablets, computers, gaming devices. They can multitask between all of them, and they also tend to have shorter attention spans. They're used to things like tweets and instant messaging instead of those lengthy emails. So research from Microsoft has found that the human attention span is shortening. At just 8 seconds, they say it is now shorter than the attention span of an average goldfish. So in 2000, that was 12 seconds. This is a difference now of 4 seconds. That's a very startling statistic. So as educators, how do we work with these goldfish? While it introduces some challenges, it also creates significant opportunities. Students read less and prefer active hands-on learning. Now, when you think about the statistic you see on the screen in front of you, students read less than 20% of the text. Well, how are they learning the other 80%? They want to be successful, but they will disengage from the learning if they don't see the relevance. Now, another aspect we really need to concentrate on as educators is those soft skills. A widening gap is being noticed between the expectations of companies during the employment process and the performance of the job applicants in the area of soft skills specifically. Soft skills not only enhance employability for candidates, but they contribute to the company's overall success. Now, healthcare is a business where the customer satisfaction is important. And since 2012, Medicaid and Medicare services began withholding a hospital's Medicare reimbursement based on quality performance. 30% of that decision is derived from a measure of customer satisfaction. Now, over the last 20 years, we've spoken with numerous educators and professionals, and one of the concerns we've been hearing more and more frequently is the difficulty in teaching soft skills such as geriatric sensitivity, of which empathy is an integral part. After all, whether you're training future healthcare workers or helping young people understand just what it's like to be an aging adult, we know that these skills are critically important. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there is enormous growth and opportunity available in elder care jobs in healthcare. Now, if you look at this list of the top 10 skills you need for working in a nursing home, most of them involve direct patient care. We believe that better care will be provided when workers are sensitive to what patients are going through. Compassion and understanding are a key part to providing care for geriatric patients. So if you walk in the shoes of an older adult, you're much likelier to provide more appropriate care because you'll understand what the challenges that those daily tasks can be on an older person or older patient. Now, we believe empathy in healthcare will result in better care overall. So here's just an easy way to remember empathy, this acronym for practicing empathy and enhancing communication with your patients. E for that important eye contact. M for muscles of facial expression. How are you looking to the person? P is posture. A is affect. T is tone of voice. H is hearing the whole patient, really listening. And then, of course, Y is your response. How are you responding to what you're listening to? So here now are just a few new strategies that you can use for teaching Generation Z specifically. First of all is topic introduction. And this is our first recommendation for teaching geriatric sensitivity. You can use an introductory or activity or an icebreaker to engage your students in the content and capture their interest. Students want to have a memorable experience. So experiential education has value far beyond the kinds of soft skills, social skills, work ethic, and practice experience that are important on the job. Experiential learning can also lead to a deeper meaning of subject matter that more than is just possible through classroom study alone. It can lead to a greater capacity for critical thinking and application of knowledge, and can also lead to an increased ability to engage in lifelong learning, including learning in the workplace. Remember, you are creating an experience. Set the stage for the experience by including the concept of empathy in a simple way based having students consider their previous experience with the concept. Now, this is an approach all of the simulators and task trainers from RealityWorks use in the curriculum. Right in the lesson plan, the very first part we have is called the focus section, where we start with an introductory pre-activity to introduce the topic. It's usually a short but engaging way to get those students engaged right off the bat on the topic of empathy. Now, this is an example of an empathy self-assessment activity found in our geriatric simulation experience curriculum. Well, this one's ready to use. It is not hard to create your own, just incorporating a few key reflection questions for students to consider about their own level of empathy in a variety of different scenarios. Now, the second area for consideration in teaching empathy and geriatric sensitivity is how their content is presented to Generation Z students. So how do we teach this generation? Well, we may need to modify what we do. Instead of using those 50-minute PowerPoints, or if you do have to use them, incorporate things like quizzes, activities, and hands-on demos every few slides. Provide them with more than just the textbook. Things like videos, online activities, group work, and models work very, very well with this group. Use a variety to keep their attention and give them an experience, but be flexible in your teaching methods and the way you communicate with your students. Communication is key to instructors and to students. Now, there are multiple ways you can also provide the content, but again, the key is to keep it short and change it up. You can do things like tell a story, answer the question, where will I use this in real life? You can ask questions at crucial moments, things like, what would you do if? You can organize your presentation into very clear bullet points. Don't read from slides, but make your students practice listening to one another. Present some content, and then use the think, pair, share method, where they think about the content you presented, pair students up, and then they share views with each other. You could also use things like visuals to ground very abstract ideas. Meaningful discussions relating to geriatric sensitivity are an effective classroom tool. Now we'll discuss a few topics that are helpful for generating thoughtful reflection and dialogue in the classroom. So discussions in class are a time where we can work on the soft skills of things like empathy and communication. We need to encourage students to communicate with each other. It promotes things like teamwork and confidence, while also including older adults. So students might not like to do group work, but might be more receptive to something if it's shorter in time, so you can pair and share. We need to provide students with a scenario that causes them to think critically and also challenges them. Countries around the world treat their aging populations very differently. So one interesting activity to do is have students choose a country and research their traditions and beliefs that they have about the aging population. For example, East Asian countries like Japan and China have a very long history of respect for elders based on Confucian principles. So with so much of society glamorizing youth in the media, it's really important to learn what we can from the traditions of others and understand the value and experience our aging population has to offer us. Now, there are ways to involve the community that can enrich the conversation around the topic of geriatric sensitivity. You could bring in a panel of local professionals involved in geriatric care for a class discussion. You could find somebody like a nursing home director, a certified nursing assistant, a dietitian, activities director, and others that work daily with elderly. Have students come up with a list of questions, and part of the focus could also be on these types of occupations as a means of career exploration. Now, don't forget to have students think of questions ahead of time. You can definitely use this activity for something like career exploration. Now let's take a look at a few experiential learning tools for geriatric sensitivity, specifically the use of wearable simulators. Now here at RealityWorks, we have an assortment of wearable models and simulators that give the wearer real-life experience, such as common conditions of aging. Students can feel and build empathy regarding the aging process. Other wearable models give the peer the experience of conditions like visual impairment, hearing loss, and even essential tremor. So how do you enable students to walk in the shoes of an older adult? Well, that's where these age simulation suits and age simulation activities can be so very effective. And research will back that up, the efficacy of these types of tools and activity. Now, there was a research study at the Julius Maximilian University in Germany on the effectiveness of age simulation. For instance, 83% of participants were able to empathize with life in old age very well, while 95% of participants had a better understanding of the physical conditions of aging after going through a simulation experience of some sort. Now, the geriatric simulation suite that we have at RealityWorks enables participants to experience many common physical conditions of aging, including what you see on the screen in front of you. Now, they can feel things like, that stoop posture like osteoporosis, the shuffled gait of someone with arthritis. They have decreased mobility, restricted range of motion, visual impairment, hearing impairment. So many common conditions of aging. And this does include a curriculum as well. There are 9 lessons on a variety of different topics. All of them integrate the use of the simulator. So you'll go through things like visual impairment, declining mobility due to aging, the impact of aging on bones and joints, hearing loss, cognitive changes with aging, and a whole geriatric simulation experience that's completely immersive. But we also have a lesson on amazing aging, which focuses on geriatric or aging adults that are doing amazing things well into their elder years. So this curriculum is aligned to many of our national standards, including FACS, Common Core, and Common Career Technical Core, and health education standards. Now, you can also extend that geriatric experience with a trio of newer simulation experiences called the Geriatric Sensory Impairment Kit. And you have hearing impairment, arthritis, and a tremor simulator. So the hearing simulator gives you the chance to see what it's like to live with things like tinnitus, that awful ringing in your ear, high frequency hearing loss, general hearing loss, and there's even a dementia component with some unintelligible, confusing sounds also. Now, our tremor simulator gives you the experience of seeing what it's like to live with a tremor daily and doing activities with your hands, such as eating or writing or dressing. Now, our arthritis simulator is a wearable apparatus for each hand that replicates moderate to severe arthritis, making it difficult to do things like write, twist, pinch, and just use your hands in general. So each of these simulators also comes with a curriculum and lessons for integrating the use in the classroom. Our visual impairment simulation glasses include 6 different visual impairments that make it easy to experience these types of conditions that older adults may face. Things like glaucoma, macular degeneration, cataracts, diabetic retinopathy, retinal detachment, and even retinitis pigmentosa. Now, about 65% of all people who are visually impaired are over the 50 years of age, and 82% of people living with blindness are 50 and above. So those are important statistics you can share with your students. Participants will learn about each of the different conditions, and then they try them on, and they do a series of tasks. They record their thoughts and reflect on how this would impact their daily life as an older adult. Now, if your budget doesn't allow for this, you can use sunglasses and Vaseline on cheap sunglasses or glasses you could even get at the dollar store to create your own cataract or glaucoma experiences. So there are things you can do on your own as well if you're handy. Now, another new geriatric wearable is our hemiplegia simulator. Now, this will help your participants walk in the shoes of a person who has experienced a condition like stroke. It immobilizes one side of the body. The simulator can be worn on the left or the right side, and it will impact movement, vision, and hearing on that side. Our geriatric medication management simulation kit is a class-wide kit which simulates for students what it's like to be a geriatric patient with cataracts and compromised tactile sensation while managing multiple medications at once. So students are paired up. One is the geriatric patient and the other is the recorder. There are a dozen student simulation kits, so an entire class can do this experience all at the same time. Students are tasked with reading the labels, identifying the dosage, any other instructions. They take out the pills, and then they try to open the pill bottle, and there are 6 different medications in the kit. So the recorder writes everything down that the patient is saying, and in the end they compare with an answer key. And you can see how quickly things can easily go awry when challenged by vision and mobility issues. Now, the geriatric simulation experiences such as these can be used in many settings to foster geriatric sensitivity. They're good for things like in high school health occupations courses to provide that hands-on experiential learning to make the lesson memorable. Post-secondary courses in healthcare such as nursing are also find something like this extremely valuable. We find CNA training courses taught in a variety of settings such as high schools, community college, or even on-site in nursing homes find these type of simulation experiences invaluable. Now, in-service training in nursing homes and assisted living facilities can also use packages or products like this as a part of their onboarding process for new hires. We have even seen public health organizations and community education groups use these types of things as a way to engage with the community or general public to learn more about geriatric issues in general. Now, we've shared some of our ready-to-use wearables. However, if your budget does not allow for purchasing these types of things, we've got just a few quick, easy, low-fidelity ideas for helping your students develop compassion for the elderly that you could do yourself. Now, these in-class simulation experiences, again, use some basic household items to simulate age-related impairments. So some things you could do would be have your students wear several pairs of thick gloves while writing or tying a shoe or buttoning a shirt to simulate tactile sensitivity or dexterity issues. Or also they could wear thinner gloves while trying to open pill bottles that can simulate things like arthritis or restricted range of motion. Now you could have people wear glasses smeared with soap or Vaseline to simulate cataracts, like we shared earlier as a do-it-yourself. You can wear glasses made with the wrong prescription, or you could wear sunglasses indoors to simulate things like macular degeneration or glaucoma. Now you could have them breathe only through a straw. You could have them wear ankle weights, ACE bandages, back braces. You could have them interact with canes and walkers to simulate mobility challenges or things like fatigue, loss of strength, and restricted range of motion. So one idea we recently heard at a conference was to have your students wear an adult diaper wet for a whole hour during class. Can you imagine? If they would do that, they would never see their geriatric patients the same way again. So here are just a few ideas, but we get some of our best ideas from practicing instructors out there. So there are a lot of different ways you can do things as a do-it-yourself and give students, again, a little window into the world of what it's like to age. So we don't want students to think it's all downhill as we age. Many older adults live vibrant lives and do amazing things. So we will also want to include a few ideas for sharing this type of information with students as well. So we want students to be aware of ways that they can make good choices now that can help them live healthier lives in the future. So one idea is to prepare a healthy lifestyle online scavenger hunt. You can look up information, prepare a variety of questions that students need to answer by researching online. For example, you could ask questions that include statistics on life expectancy of male versus female from years ago to now, or even other countries compared to the United States. You could include questions that have many answers, such name 5 strategies you can use to ensure better vision and hearing health. You could even divide students into pairs or small groups to complete this or keep it as an individual activity. Another thing you could do is a research project. There are many examples of individuals living vibrant lives and doing amazing things well into their later years. So have each student find an example of someone who has done something amazing, whether it be inventing something, doing a physical challenge, many, many good examples of living well. So have students prepare a short 5-minute presentation about the person and their accomplishment or what they are known for. Include the age if possible when the significant accomplishment occurred. Have students share this information. It is a great way to get inspired. There are many different topics to choose from as they relate to healthy aging. These include nutrition, exercise, mental health, and so forth. You could choose one or have a variety of topics to choose from. Tell your students that they are now acting in the role of a health educator or a consultant for an aging services company. They have been asked to be a guest speaker at a conference for adults over the age of 65 to attend at a local health fair. They should prepare a 3 to 5 minute presentation about one topic relating to healthy aging. Encourage the use of multimedia, demonstrations, testimonials, etc. For example, if the topic was nutrition, they could prepare a short video interviewing an older person about how nutrition impacts their daily life. They could prepare an example of a healthy food to share, and they could also prepare a multimedia presentation about nutrition statistics, medical information, and so forth. And then you could turn this into a community affair by inviting local seniors to attend your senior health fair day. And you could have each student like man a booth with their project or presentation. So now what? We've given you a lot of information in the last 20 minutes or so. Well, one thing you can do is choose a few of your favorite ideas and try them out. You know, you can start small, maybe just 1 or 2 ideas and see how they go. But if you're serious about wanting to do more in the area of geriatrics, you could develop an entire geriatric or gerontology pathway. Now in the next slide, we'll show you how to develop this plan of study for a geriatric career pathway. Now, if you'd like more information about any of the products or resources that you saw today for geriatric sensitivity, our 800 number is on the screen in front of you, and we would love to share more information.